Hello guys, how are you? How are you doing? And welcome back to today's lesson 6 Business Analysis Intermediate. What exactly are you going to learn today? Core vocabulary for business analysis processes and documentation, 10 key vocabulary words with phonetics, some grammar, passive voice, modal verbs, conditional sentences, and business analysis writing, how to describe as is to be processes, write a gap analysis, and validate requirements. And as always, you can find this worksheet and much more educational content on our Telegram and other social media this instance. And let's start with the vocabulary as is process, the way a process currently works before changes. The as is process takes 5 days because approvals are done manually. To be process, the proposed future version of a process after improvement. In the to be process, approvals will be automated and take 1 day. Gap analysis, a comparison of current and desired states to identify what is missing. The gap analysis showed that we lack a reporting tool. Use case, a description of how a user interacts with the system to achieve a goal. This use case covers how a customer resets their password. Stakeholder interview, a structured conversation used to gather requirements from a stakeholder. We scheduled stakeholder interviews with finance and operations. Functional requirement, a statement of what a system must do. One functional requirement is that users can export data as CSV. Non-functional, relating to how a system performs rather than what it does. A non-functional requirement is that the page must load in under 2 seconds. Validate, to confirm that a requirement or solution is correct and meets needs, we validated the requirements with the client before development began. Sign off, to formally approve a document or deliverable. The product owner signed off on the requirements yesterday. Traceability, the ability to link requirements to their source and to the features that fulfill them. Traceability lets us know which requirements each feature satisfies. A little pro tip, every strong requirement needs doc- every strong requirement documents uses the as is gap analysis to be structure. When you present it this way, stakeholders immediately understand why a change is needed and not just what is changing. Grammar, passive modal verbs and conditional structures. Let's go. So passive voice for business analysis documentation. The requirements have been gathered from 3 departments. Yep, if you look at that, you may notice that the structure is basically uh, the thing that we perform an action onto to be in the needed form and past participle. What is past participle? That's a verb, your action. If it is irregular verb, it is in the third column. If it is regular, it is just ed ending. Yep. A gap analysis was conducted last week. The use cases will be validated with stakeholders on Friday. Modal verbs for requirements must, should, may. The system must allow bulk export. Mandatory. Should. The system should support dark mode. Recommended. May. The system may include a mobile app in phase 2. It's optional. It's like it doesn't have to include a mobile app, but it may. Conditional for process description. If the request is approved, the ticket moves to development. Sounds great. What kind of conditional is that? In this part we use present tense, and in this part we also use present tense. That is zero conditional. Basically facts. Always facts. If a requirement is unclear, the BA schedules a follow-up interview. The same. Zero conditional facts. Unless the client signs off, the development cannot start. Also, zero. Yeah. Key phrases for BA communication describing the gap. Currently, the gap analysis shows that in the to be process we will. The system must or should do something. This requirement covers something. Out of scope for this phase, something. We validated this with stakeholders confirmed that this can be signed off by someone. Let's read a model BA summary and analyze it. I'd like to summarize the findings of our business analysis for the invoice approval process. In the SE's process, invoices are approved manually by email, which takes an average of 5 days and often causes delays. We conducted stakeholder interview with finance, procurement, and 3 department heads to understand the current pain points. The gap analysis identified 3 missing capabilities: automated routing, a mobile approval option, and an audit trail. Based on this, we have defined the to-be process where invoices will be routed automatically and approved within 1 day. We have written 8 use cases covering the main approval scenarios, along with the functional requirements, such as the system must notify the approver within 5 minutes, and non-functional requirements, including response time and security. All requirements have been validated with stakeholders and signed off by the finance director. We have also built a traceability matrix, so every requirement links back to a specific business need. Let's notice some things. As is, gap analysis to be structure is used um, in this little text that we've just read. Passive voice. Invoices are approved, requirements have been validated. Great use of passive voice. Modal verb. The system must notify. Wonderful. Functional versus non-functional requirements are clearly distinguished. And traceability mentioned as evidence of rigor. Let's watch out for some common mistakes. The system should send an email. The system should send an email. Modal verbs are followed by a base form, not to. We did gap analysis. We conducted or carried out a gap analysis. Conduct or carry out is much better for a BA writing, not do. You can use do in spoken language, why not? Yeah. I mean, who am I to tell you that you cannot use it in writing? You can use it too, of course, but conduct and carry out is definitely much better. Requirement is signed off from client. Requirement has been signed off by the client, not from. This is functional requirement. This is a functional requirement. It needs a little article. If client will approve, we start. If client approves, we start. Present simple in the if clause, not will. Not will. Let's go. Pause the video, take your time, complete the task, and I'm giving you 20 seconds to do that, and then come back and we'll discuss your answers. Well, let's go. So that gap analysis showed we are missing a reporting feature. The system must allow admins to reset passwords mandatory. We validated the requirements with the finance team last week. If the requirement isn't clear, the BA schedules a follow-up interview. Response time is a non-functional requirement, not a functional one. Wonderful, wonderful. A little speaking challenge. Choose a real or imagined process and present it in 90 seconds. You have your structure and you have your requirements. At least 2 passive structures, 2 modal verbs, 1 functional and 1 non-functional requirement, a clear as is to be contrast. And the question for the comments: could you describe one process at your company that has an obvious gap between as is and to be? If you're not allowed, or if you don't have situations like that, you can actually make up one. You can actually make up one if you're not allowed to talk about it, for example. Yeah. Write 2, 3 sentences using at least 3 words from today's lesson, okay? And when it comes to workbook, you can find it in the Telegram channel. All right. I suppose thank you so much for joining this lesson, and I hope to see you next time in the next one. Stay safe. Bye bye.